Welcome to Rockin' Kentucky Blue, the podcast where we are serious about our Cats. Join two card-carrying Blue Rockin' members of the Big Blue Nation as they keep you up to date on the latest happenings of the University of Kentucky Wildcats. Here are your hosts, one calm member of the sports media, Michelle Mamba Brown, and one crazy fan, Jay Hayes.
Welcome to Rockin' Kentucky Blue. We're all the way up to 59. We've reached my age.
It's pure madness.
It's madness to think that 2 months from now I'll be 60.
Yeah.
The good news is my neighbor said, well, I know I'm older than you. And I'm looking at her and I'm like, really? How old are you? And she goes, I'm going to be 42 this week.
Wow.
I'm like, you probably should just head on out the hallway because I could probably smack you. You're complaining about 42. I had a toddler when I was 42. Are you kidding? I mean, your child's getting ready for middle school or something. And I still have to put up gates and barriers. That's all I'm saying.
Right. Well, I mean, 60 is still young. It is.
Apparently 59 in 10 months is really young because it can keep you from getting a vaccine.
I was fixing to say, you can't even get a vaccine, so.
Not anymore. I saw it released yesterday. Anyone over the age of 50 can get a vaccine now.
Oh, okay.
You're automatically eligible. It says it's 50 is
after they passed out millions and millions.
Well, I mean, they had to do the healthcare workers. They had to do teachers. They had to do all. But now 50 is the new 70.
Right. Okay.
So all I'm saying is get off your butts and get scheduled because you may not even have to be 50.
Right.
Depending on how many doses they're getting at a time. If you get on Kroger's website, you can get yourself scheduled. That's what I did. So Thursday, I'll be headed to the horse park. Now, I have heard that some people have had to wait for an hour at the horse park. I've had heard some people say 5 minutes. I don't know what's up. I'm planning on the hour.
Yeah.
And I don't care because the alternative is not having a vaccine.
Right.
And like the next family dinner we're having, which is toward the end of April. All of us, with the exception of my daughter's boyfriend, who keeps coming up with excuses. Oh, well, I was allergic to, I had a tetanus shot. Yeah. Okay, buddy. So was I. So I'm going to get my shot. Then what's your next excuse?
Right.
But other than that, the other three of us will all be fully vaccinated at our next family dinner, which is like, that's pretty stinking cool.
Yeah.
I look at where we were a year ago. Everybody was doing album covers on Zoom.
Yeah. I was depressed. I was depressed. Therefore,
you had a house full of people. I had to stay by myself for.
Yeah, I felt for you. And one of the good things that kept me going was, what kept going, but this podcast. We managed to keep on going. There was no really sports going on, but we kept it going, and so I'm definitely thankful for that.
This would have been a fun fact last year before everything crashed and burned. Going into 2020, UK men's basketball team had an all-time record of 129-52 in the NCAA tournament, giving Kentucky more wins than any team in NCAA history.
Yeah.
Although, pure madness. Obviously, the basketball tournament and all things related to that would be the primary focus of today's discussion. But
yeah,
I'm not going to let you start with that.
Okay.
because you won't let me get around to the other things that are just as important.
No, there are a lot of other important things going on.
And I think you gotta, first off, hats off, towels off, swim caps, whatever.
Yeah.
To UK Swim and Dive, which finished 11th in the NCAA Championships, the best finish and most points scored in school history.
Yeah. Yeah. Kudos.
And the way the championships work, they have all their prelims. And after their prelims, they end up with an A final and a B final. And the B final is the 9 through 16 preliminary finishers. Right. Excuse me. A is 1 through. Well, it's spring in Kentucky.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So if I sneeze, cough, or otherwise have strange head sound, well, just deal with it. Because there's not a lot I can do about it.
Right. I'll take it out in the edit.
Well, some things you might not. Well, I'm going to say some things you might. I don't have like a lot of warning on some of them. The A prelim is the top 8 finishers. If you make it to the A final, you automatically get a designation as a first team All-American.
Right.
Because you've had to navigate a pretty serious gauntlet of challenges to get up to that point.
Right.
If you are in the B final, you get an All-American honorary ranking. Now, I did not get the count of honoraries, but Kentucky had 8 first-team All-American rankings, which was 5 different athletes over 8 events. So 5 of them actually had 2. No, 3 of them were in the top 8 in 2 events each, and then 2 other that have 1 event each. Lots of exciting things there. That's for those that even care about the Director's Cup, which is the overall athletic performance of a school.
Right.
It's not just how you did in basketball, how you did in football. It's a bunch of sports, and some sports even that we don't have in Kentucky, but there's some sports we have that some of these other schools don't. Like, anyway, the last few years we've been in the top 15. We've had a top 10 finish in that. Yeah. I'd say we're looking good for that again this year, especially with softball and baseball. They're still rolling along.
Yeah.
Why are you laughing?
Just my thoughts of, our basketball usually helps with that, but this year.
Well, yeah, but a lot of the other schools that are usually in contention.
Right.
Their basketball team is gone too.
Right. And all of our other sports have excelled beyond more than usually what they do. So, I mean, yeah.
Let's say softball kept it rolling this week. Baseball, they lost a game yesterday, but they won their SEC series opener.
Right.
First time since 2012 they got to open the SEC portion of their schedule at home. It's just how it's worked out. They've been on the road every year, so that's pretty cool, and happy for them. Yeah. UK Gymnastics. I had to watch this online. Of course, they have to break up into 2 different sessions because they have like 4 teams in each session. And when you're in the early session, they're always a little more conservative with the scores because they're thinking, tonight we got the top teams. We got to leave a little room to award them just a little bit more because they ought to be a little bit better. And in spite of that, Kentucky did finish 4th in the tournament, which ties their best finish.
Right.
The difference this time, I think we have done well in the tournament, but maybe not been as consistent for the season as they were this year. So they ought to get a team invitation as opposed to just individuals, because your team cannot qualify, but you as an individual can qualify for individual titles in the NCAA. So we're waiting for that to find out where they're going to go. Volleyball, man, it was a tragedy.
Yeah.
Um,
I saw that, and it was
and so they promptly came back the next day and thumped the snot out of Florida. So, you know, going into as they get ready to wind up the SEC portion of the year, they have a 2-match lead over everyone else. Florida was their closest competitor. So the one game we lost to them, we won it right back, and all was just like it was before we started.
Right.
And I wonder, can you think in volleyball, is it kind of like, you know, they went on like in 2012 after our one loss, it's like, oh man, we're getting ready for the tournament. We need a loss. We need a loss.
Yeah.
And of course, we got one.
Yeah, I think that way too. And I'm like, oh man, I mean, sort of kind of like our basketball team, you know, I was like, I just know it. I felt a loss was coming. Just the whole undefeated thing is just, you know, you want it, you hope for it. It's just, it's so hard. It's just an amazing feat to get to. And you just know, you know, and I kind of felt like that with the volleyball team.
I don't know that 2015, I don't think that team needed a loss.
Right.
I think they had, a lot of people tend to forget that they had, they were very tested several times during the season. I believe it was Ole Miss that took them to overtime.
I can't remember, but you're probably right.
I
don't want to say you're right, but you might be.
Yeah, I know you don't want to say it, but you might as well, because that's how it always works.
Wow. Okay.
Well, yeah. I mean, my one bracket I filled out because our bracket organizer at church, they sent out an email like, yeah, joy and fun for bragging rights. Well, it was the Tennessee fan.
Yeah.
I was like, crud. Because if it had been a UK fan, it'd been fine.
Right.
Even if it had been the Auburn fan.
Yeah.
Palatable. But the Tennessee fan, the one who said, I was too busy to come into the sanctuary because I was working on my brackets because we get to go to the tournament. Yeah, thanks for representing, man. Good 40 minutes there.
Wow. Yeah. So the volleyball team is.
Yeah, volleyball team is, they got one more match this week.
Yeah.
One more series, rather, I should say. And then it's postseason time. So I don't think we shouldn't suffer in the rankings. If so, maybe a spot, but I don't think we should, because we came back. I mean, it's not like Florida wasn't, you know, top 10.
Right.
Possibly top 5, I'm thinking. 5 or 6.
Still with their record. You know.
So, yeah, the postseason, I don't want to write off their last series of the season because that's important too, but
yeah,
I'm super, super excited for their postseason because this could be big stuff for a volleyball team. They could maybe have a program best finish, and that would be super exciting because, said, if your basketball team isn't going to carry their portion of the burden for the Director's Cup, guess the ladies got to pick up the slack.
Hey, kudos to them.
And the rifle team, there was one girl that won 3 different individual medals. I mean,
sharp shooter.
First off, you know, it's like we can beat Army all the time, and it's a girl doing it. Just saying. You would think with that power of women that the NCAA could have done a little bit better of a job with the weight room.
Yeah. I mean, they did. They did, finally.
Yeah, but they shouldn't have had to be
shouldn't have been
publicly shamed.
Right. So
and did they do it, or did somebody else step up and pay for it?
I mean, who knows? But I know I saw one video and they were like, thanks, NCAA, for finally coming. I mean, I wouldn't have been thank you, NCAA. First of all, I mean, like this should have been here from the jumps. From the
it wouldn't have
get-go.
been thank you. It would have been why did it take you so long?
Yeah.
Because I tell you what, I don't know if you read the letter that Dawn Staley wrote.
No, I didn't.
She posted a screenshot of that, and it was, especially, like I said, it'd be one thing going like, look, are you serious? And Mark Emmert goes, well, we didn't have room.
Right.
Okay, never mind. I don't even want to get into his family ties to LSU.
Right.
Which explains how Wade Wilson gets to go around without any kind of punishment whatsoever.
Right. That was just an excuse for getting around the conversation of how'd you drop the ball here for the women?
We didn't have room. Okay. Oh, well, we'll be right back. Here's our one set of weights with the 5 yoga mats on top. Right. And here's the 4,000 square feet of nothing.
Right.
You're right. There's no room.
Right.
Anyway, Dawn Staley, she wrote a scathing letter. And how Emmert had paid lip service to we're all about the student athletes, all of them. Everybody should be treated the same, where that they come first and foremost, and all the stuff he said last year, when they were losing the tournament, blah, 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 blah. And she ripped through all those things and how it was window dressing. There was no weight behind what he said. Why should they believe him about anything? And I'm here to tell you, I'm not a Dawn Staley fan.
Right.
She scares me. And I'm telling you right now, Mark Emmert should not be feeling all that comfortable because she should be able to scare him.
Right.
I say things have to change moving forward, or I don't think Emmert took a pay cut last year.
I mean, I don't get that, because I'm for everybody being equal there, the women and men, but I feel like the men get more because they bring in more. They're more sellable product. Maybe that's some of it. I don't know. But
that's hogwash.
No, that's real, and that's facts, and you know that.
No, I'm saying it's hogwash that you're using that as any kind of you just did. Maybe because of that. Maybe that's why.
Is it? Is it?
How many billions does the NCAA come in? And you can't drop some on the women. Have you looked to see the money? The women do bring in money. By the way,
I agree with that. But is that part of it? Everybody knows the men, even on into the pros. We know what the WNBA women make, nowhere near what the men make, but we know why. Because the NBA sells that product, they bring in the revenue. We know that. It's not because forget the women. So could that be some of it?
It better not be at the college level.
At the college level,
it better not be.
Right, because when you start dishing out money to players, if that ever comes around and happens, do you think the women are going to get the same amount of money as the men do?
Of course they won't, because the NCAA, they like to keep women down.
Okay, well, what if it's strictly based on fan stuff?
You can't base it strictly on fan stuff for your.
Well, some of the NIL.
When we see the details on that, then get back to me.
Was third party. So basically, that's like social media stuff like that. Just to point, So if it's kind of based on popularity, then still would be the men getting more in a bigger percentage, because there's a big part of fans that love college women. And so I don't know. I think you have to throw some of that in there with it. In this case, it was just downright disrespectful, and it was wrong. You got to treat them on the same level at these events, and I get that.
Well, if you're going to, talk about fans, then actually recognize and give proper respect to those fans of the women's game and maybe look and see.
Right.
They have a much bigger following than some would have you believe.
Yeah, they do.
And I can tell you from covering the women's games, they are certainly, you talk about the men's team, they got the most loyal fans. No, you don't ever, never, ever do you see the women's fans ripping into a player because they miss free throws.
Right.
It doesn't happen. Player has a bad game, which you see on social media from the women's fans is nothing but encouragement and love.
Right. You know what I've noticed over the years about like fans of men basketball and women basketball? It seems like the fans of women basketball are more knowledgeable about basketball.
Well, they are. They're absolutely
true.
They arrive early.
Right.
Now we're talking in a pre-COVID world. They arrive early. They stay late, and to Kentucky's credit, they have at least one or two players every game at Memorial after the game that's signing posters. They get to know their fans, and the fans adore them. They stay till the end of every game, even if Kentucky was behind by 50.
Right.
30 seconds to go. Nobody has left their seat. They're still cheering just as loud as they were when they walked in. A lot of the problem that you have with the men's basketball team fans, it's a transactional fandom. If you win games, I like you.
Right.
If you lose games, well, you need to get the heck out of town, and we want somebody. And they're still doing the whole thing. How come you won't get multi-year players? You just had a roster full and you complained.
Right.
You moaned all year about BJ Boston. He says he's going to the NBA, and now you're moaning because he's going to the NBA.
Yeah. That's what they do.
Keep moving the target so nobody can ever hit it. You look more ridiculous with every passing moment.
Right. It's like cheer the young man on, man, to make some money, you know.
But if we're going to talk about the women, we have to talk. They took care of business.
Yeah, they did.
They just, was that just yesterday?
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
There was so much this weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look a year ago and we were going, because there was nothing.
Right. I'm watching a couple other games going, how does teams advance to the Sweet 16 already? Like, because it's just gone by fast like that. You know, so many games to take in. It's just,
but it's off because they start a day late. So there's games again tonight, but the women's tournament has started, so they've still got their games. And in the middle of that, there was softball, baseball, volleyball, gymnastics, and swim and dive. And I'm trying to cover all of it all at once. And
right.
And I was like, how did I ever do this on a regular basis?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know how I did, but we did. Anyway, going on to the women,
right?
Besides taking care of business, did you see Rhyne Howard's shoes?
Yes, I did see the shoes, and I have some opinions. I love the shoes, but I have some opinions on them. I would have liked for other players to have been wearing the shoes, you know, because when you wear the shoes, then it makes it look like it's me. Even though we know Rhyne Howard is not me. We know what kind of player that she is. It's still, it sends that message like, well, is it just only about self accolades for you know? I mean,
well, I think putting the quotes on there, she's just a scorer. She doesn't do anything else.
Yeah, I love the shoes. The shoes were badass.
Well, and the thing I'm thinking, that actually was the whole shout out to her team.
Right. Okay.
And if I heard it once, heard it probably 15 times in the first half, Rhyne Howard hasn't done this. Rhyne Howard hadn't scored. Rhyne Howard hadn't been taking shots.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Rhyne Howard was getting rebounds. Rhyne Howard was making passes. And if you have watched any, sorry.
Jerry want to say hi.
No, Jerry wanted to walk across the desk and knock things off, so we intercepted him. That's one of his favorite pastimes. Anybody that watched any Kentucky games this year noted or would have known that one thing Rhyne does in the early part of games is get her teammates involved.
Yeah.
She likes to get them involved. She could have had off the chart stats, except she all year, her thing was get my teammates in there with me. If they're involved early, if they are successful early, then it's so much easier when they start triple teaming Rhyne. You're open.
Oh,
You've already done this, man. Do it again.
Yeah.
And it wasn't clicking as well yesterday. Her teammates were kind of less successful than usual.
Right.
But, midway through the second quarter, you knew how this one was going to end. Matter of fact, think about what we saw in the men's draw this weekend compared to the first half of the women's. Do you know they went entirely chalk yesterday?
Yeah.
Entirely chalk, right? Not one thing off. It's like, well, that's because, they have experienced players. They stay so many years. You can say that, but even when the men's, before the era of one and done, you didn't have a whole bracket go chalk. The whole bracket.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen.
Yeah.
I found that like a pretty incredible stat.
I did too. I saw that stat and I was like, what? I mean, because it's March Madness, and that is exactly what it's been, is pure madness. And I just, to see that was like, what? Nobody upset? What?
Yeah, and let us be thankful that we are the University of Kentucky. Do you know when the school was first founded? It was the Agricultural and Mechanical College of Kentucky.
I knew that.
A&M of Kentucky. I knew that too, but that was off my calendar. I had to share that with everybody else that didn't know. We were once an A&M, but we were never Aggies.
Have we been Wildcats the whole time?
Fairly certain.
Feels like I remember something being said about that a while back.
I'm fairly certain.
I have to look that one up.
Speaking of which, I don't know if I told you, this is another book.
Okay.
100 Things Wildcat Fans Should Know and Do Before They Die. This written by Ryan Clark and Joe Cox. Now, Joe Cox, I know. I've sat with him in several football games.
Right.
But it covers everything from, you got to know Adolph Rupp, Joe B. Hall.
Yeah.
Then it has some players you need to be aware of. And then it tells you some things you need to do, like surf on over to John Scott's website. Anybody that's been to John Scott's website knows that is indeed something you need to do, because he has got the absolute most thorough bit of Kentucky history, statistics, everything.
Right. Good morning.
He's reading off our chat list for those of you that don't know that. Like say good morning all of a sudden in the middle of a sentence. That's
right.
Also says you need to visit Madisonville, who's the home of Frank Ramsey and Travis Ford.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think there's one chapter I'll disagree. I don't think you need to know about that thing at all. But it does say you need to travel with the team to Maui or Alaska or New York. Well, we're never going to do Maui while cows here.
Right.
I feel pretty confident we'll never do Alaska while cows here. But New York's good safe bet.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're not necessarily for tournaments, but we do go tournament. Or we do go play games there. So
hey, you were talking about Rhyne Howard. And she's not, that was my opinion of her. Like, maybe the other players should have been wearing those shoes. I read some of the comments and they were kind of directed that way. And they wasn't Kentucky fans, of course, but she's not been a me player. Unlike maybe someone that's name has been all on the news feed on Twitter, doing very well. set a record in scoring 20 plus in games in the NCAA tournament, along with a couple greats. And that is, of course, you already know, Johnny Juzang.
What, and good for him.
Yeah,
and I do mean that.
I feel the same way.
But
good for him.
But for the fans to pretend that he was shooting lights out when he was at Kentucky and somehow he was misused, underutilized, not appreciated, and Cal doesn't know how to coach
is
crazy.
I
remember, and I commented to you.
Yeah.
One of our very first show. I mean, I need to go back and listen. I think I mentioned it on the show. I know I mentioned it to you when I had gone to cover a ball game. And Rex Chapman was working with Johnny Juzang on his shot.
Yeah.
Why? Because Johnny Juzang had hit 1 3 out of like 50 attempts.
Right. Well, I mean,
not that many
in warm-ups, because he wasn't getting that many shots in games like he is getting at UCLA. He's getting 20 plus shots at UCLA.
Now, don't we also remember, and I'm pretty sure I can hear this being said in your voice, that he had to warm up. He was one of those that had to be on the floor, moving around and in the flow of the game before shots would start falling for him.
Well, I said that about Dante Allen.
Well, I know, but I thought for sure you had said that about Juzang.
Yeah, he could have been another one because he doesn't play defense, and he would have never been that guy on Kentucky because, for one, like I said, he wasn't getting that many shots at Kentucky. I mean,
and who was he going to play? Were you going to put him on the court instead of Quickly?
No.
Were you going to put him on the court instead of Maxey?
Hell no.
And when you think of defense, say what you will about Ashton Higgins, but he was a defensive beast.
Top defensive beast. And Johnny Juzang I am happy for his success. But when I get on Twitter and see Johnny Juzang, I mean, just constant people like, what? He left. What? You know, he plays for UCLA now. I mean, really? He's shooting the ball 20 times. Have you watched? Or if you're watching the game, then you know, all he does is shoot the ball. Like, he does not get his team involved. Like, he's a me player, thus not being at Kentucky no more. And sure, everybody's like, oh, it was homesick. He was homesick. Maybe that is a little part of it. Maybe so. But I'll tell you this, he wasn't getting 20 shots at Kentucky, not with Kentucky players. They allow him to do that at UCLA because he can on that team. Good for him. Hope he much success, but come on, man.
There's a reason they came into the tournament as an 11 seed.
Right.
And that's not because they were like setting the world. Now, the Pac-12, they have done remarkably well in the tournament.
Right.
Go figure, because they stunk it up during the regular season.
Bill Walton. That's why.
The Conference of Champions.
Right. And you know, don't mistake this, my little rant here about Johnny Juzang. I wish him luck. I hope he lights it up. I hope he gets 50 shots.
And he was a good kid.
Kentucky. Right.
Good kid.
Right.
Liked him a lot. But this whole revisionist history that,
right.
For the fact that Juzang left, we would have had a fabulous season.
Right. That's all.
And Cal chased him off. Therefore, it's Cal's fault. Everything is
always
Cal's
is.
fault.
Always is. And we know where
BJ
that comes
Boston's
from.
fault.
And we know where those things come from.
We know. But do you know this?
What? Probably not.
Who was the first Wildcat men's basketball player to register at least 500 rebounds, 200 blocks, and 100 steals in their career?
Dan Issel. I don't know. The first?
The first. You don't have to go back into
when you say first, I just shoot straight back.
You don't have to go that nothing, but you look at the stat now. 500 rebounds.
Right.
200 blocks, plus 100 steals. That's so it's not a one and done player.
Right.
But I say you could go back within the past decade, perhaps.
I don't know. Who is it?
Willie Cauley-Stein.
Wow. I'm nowhere near his name was in my head. No.
I said, I was thinking, I'm going like, we've already eliminated. If it wasn't a one and done, we've already eliminated Davis, who, of course, didn't have that many blocks anyway.
I hate these kind of questions because when it's so many players to think about, I'm not going to get that unless it's real obvious. I'm not. No. So I'll never get one of those questions right. There's too many players in my head to think of.
Well,
but that's super.
That's a fun fact.
Yeah.
That's what I'm here for on Monday morning. Give you fun facts. Well, I tell you everything that's wrong with how about the Nimrod officials that decided once they've gone to the bubble, they're going to head out somewhere and have dinner together.
Right. That was my whole question with this.
But now here's my whole thing with it. First off, I think it's pretty safe to say Roger Ayers was already infected before he got there. You can be infected and not test positive initially.
That was my question. Like how was he sick?
Have you not? Gosh, obviously now he's like very sick. He's struggling pretty hard with this right now.
Right.
And I don't. This is not even kind of pun. I don't wish ill on any of these. But my first problem was the story referring to them as 6 top officials. When you have Roger Ayers, John Higgins, TV Teddy.
Yeah.
I don't call these top officials. But let's see what tournament. AC.
I think
Atlantic 10. One of those. The last weekend. Ayers was one of the officials, and from all reports, wearing masks at this event was very optional. Talking about coaches, talking about players, talking about officials. One of the teams that participated in that tournament, VCU. So we were free and clear with our test all week until the day of their game.
Right.
And it was a bunch. It wasn't like one person's positive. You can pull them out. No, it was. They said more than several. Was it many?
Yeah, it was. The word I heard was several.
Okay. But several, probably going to be 4 or more.
Yeah.
And when you're looking at a basketball roster, that's a significant number.
Right.
So they had to be what has been the only forfeit of the tournament. Then we found that little common thread that they had played in the event.
Right.
That one of these officials who was positive, and now that official goes out to dinner with other officials. They all end up positive. Kind of like, that could be coincidence, but it's like Roger Ayers is his own little super spreader.
Right.
And it just underlines how difficult this whole coronavirus has been, and goes back to this is why you don't need that asterisk. This is why you need the exclamation point for whoever navigates through this. Exclamation point. Exclamation point. Yeah.
Asterisk. No, it just, no, I feel bad.
See, there you go. You're negative.
I disagree.
All this. Oh, was it? I didn't mean an asterisk as a negative. Yes, you do, and you just gave it away.
No.
Yeah, you did. No.
Well,
that's negative.
I'm saying asterisks for COVID. Pandemic.
You don't have to have an asterisk.
Those words are not positive.
Exclamation point. They did it. COVID.
No, it wasn't fair to everyone. That's not fair.
It absolutely.
That's not fair.
Everybody had the same risk.
But
how is it not fair to everyone? Everyone had the same chance of getting it. Everyone had the same opportunity to not follow protocols and to not do what they were supposed to and expose their entire team. Stupid like Louisville.
Some teams are in states that aren't cooperating and they have to be around a bunch of other people. It's different for everybody.
But everybody has the same common enemy, which is COVID.
Right. I feel like it's an asterisk. year, pandemic, COVID, whatever you call it, it gets that. Has to be there for the good or bad. I don't care, but it's still there.
It's like you act like nobody's ever going to mention, which is hogwash.
But
I'm
my
saying
question back to the
you're
VCU.
still trying to take something away from the champion.
No, I'm not.
Yes,
no, I'm
you
not.
are.
No, I'm
put
not.
that exclamation point because that
Do what
shows
you
there was
want.
something
Do
different.
I
I will because you're still wrong.
Asterisk going to be there though.
Won't be an asterisk. It'll be an exclamation point. It'll be an exclamation point. It'll be in italics. And it'll be dancing in italics with a bold font. There you go.
Back to VCU. I feel bad for the guys. But this is what I was questioning. And everybody knows. I mean, we've been dealing with this for a year. Oh, well, it could take a couple weeks to show up. But the time frame doesn't add up really. How does it? Okay, you had to test positive to get into the bubble, if that's...
You had to test negative.
Negative. I mean, to get in, that's what I meant. To get into the bubble. But then it was just a few days, just a couple days until they played, right?
They did not leave ample bubble clearance time to have a good bubble.
Right.
They should have had to have tested negative for a week, at least. I would think a week to 10 days before you ever enter the bubble.
Right. So I felt like VCU would have got to play a game before it was noticed that they were positive. If it wasn't detected when they got in, you know what I'm saying? It was detected before they played, and that's what matters because that is what mattered. Because they were not exposing themselves to everybody else, and that could have wrecked the entire bubble. Had they played a game, then whoever they played then gets ripped out. So like say whoever they played, if they had won anyway. Right. I mean,
they're out.
You think if Gonzaga was exposed, you think they're going to send them home?
I would hope so.
No. And this goes back to discussion we had many shows back. I feel like some teams are going to get away with it. I feel like some teams might have a positive and you will not hear nothing about it. Maybe not the whole team. Maybe if a couple more, it could leak out. But if it's one or maybe two, we won't even hear about it.
I mean, even Kansas didn't get away with bringing anybody. They had 3 positives before the tournaments popped up. So
right.
Maybe.
And they usually get away. Yeah, you're right.
That's my point. Kansas did.
They usually get away with it. Yeah.
We heard about those. So I think Gonzaga's got any kind of.
I just feel like if it's a top team, if there's any left.
No, I think they're having way too much fun with what's going on because
that's true.
I'm telling you what, brackets were busting faster than clothes come off in a strip joint, man.
Wow.
Well, they were. I mean, if you looked at it, Corey Price had some just fascinating stats with but I think one of my favorites. Oh, come on. Who's the coach? Who's the coach? You know who I'm talking about.
No, who's the coach?
Who has lost games, has been eliminated from the NCAA tournament. Coaching teams as a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5. Rick Barnes, a 6.
It was yeah, I think it was maybe.
Yeah, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and thanks to Oregon State as a 12 seed.
Right. You're exactly right.
He's been eliminated by losing 2, those different seeds.
Yeah.
So a 1 through 12, that's impressive, man. You've really got to be bad at coaching to do that.
Yeah. And you really have to have some time on your hands to look that up.
Well, I mean, Corey was like whipping some things out there, like how many times he had this many double-digit seeds, make it to Sweet 16 weekend.
What was the stat with Johnny Juzang, real quick? He in UCLA history had 20 points. What was that with?
I don't remember. It was. I honestly don't remember that stat. I was looking at overall tourney stats. I don't look at things from the
It was from ESPN.
I know, but I don't look at stuff from the Conference of Champions.
I quoted it and asked the question, who took the most shots to get these numbers? Of course, it hadn't been answered, and I'm not looking it up. I'm like you. I'm not going to waste my time with that, but be interesting to know, amongst the company he was, who took the most shots. I already know who it is, but really, I'd still like to see what the numbers are.
Uh-oh. Didn't know LeBron James had the high ankle sprain.
Yeah.
Expected to miss several weeks.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was like, so when somebody rolls their ankle, twists their ankle, you think about it, but when you hear high ankle sprain, that's never good. I'm trying to find this thing about the Juzang thing. I'm not seeing it. And I'm not going to look real hard because it doesn't matter that much to me. But the other things that Corey Price mentioned, what was your favorite upset? And we can, and you said you don't like it. How upsets were defined. But I said you don't have to. Like David Warlock had posted this.
Right.
You don't have to like how they define it. You'll be wrong because he's the NCAA Director of Media Coordination Stats.
Yeah.
And he's the Stats and Media Coordinator for March Madness. It's their tournament, their rules.
Right.
So, how the NCAA, for the purposes of this tournament, are defining an upset is a team seated 5 spots or more lower than their opponent. And midway through the second round, they had already set a record with 11 upsets by that definition. Just clarifying that for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So using their criteria for upset, what was your favorite upset of thus far?
I don't know. I like them all. I
didn't like any of the Syracuse ones. I'm sorry.
I mean, I picked Illinois to possibly win this tournament.
That's irritated me.
I loved watching that.
But Oral Roberts, man.
Oral Roberts was, that's probably the biggest, I think.
I think that, and the fact that they followed it up by thumping Florida out.
Yeah, but which came down, they've all been close games. That game came down real close, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, but that, because Florida had to choke in the end, which.
Yeah, they do a lot.
Yeah. And I kind of saw that coming. Oh, come on, Corey. He had too many stats. Most total wins by a team seeded 11 or worse in the round of 64. There were actually 8 in 2016. There was only 7 this year. Almost a record. Good grief. Okay. Saturday was just the 4th day ever that a 9, 10, 11, and 12, 13, and 15 seed all won on the same day.
Yeah. Just it's been crazy, and I just feel like, I don't know, is it because they're all kind of in one spot? They're not traveling. I mean, does that make any difference? The travel? I mean, because a lot of people say that, during the year, that makes a difference, traveling. And
not for the first round. Everybody, what I'm saying, the first round, it would be like that any NCAA tournament.
Okay.
So everybody had to travel to the site. So no, that's not going to explain that. And the second round, no, because you're still at that site. Wherever you were, that's where you're there for the first weekend.
Right. And that's it. And then you travel somewhere else. You still travel to go wherever you got to play. Well, some people do. Some people get to play at home.
But they're done with the tournament, just like I thought they would be.
Yeah, but I mean, you still have to travel. I mean, they had to travel. Everyone had to travel to the same destination here, but they've been there, and just they're stationed there. They're not moving anywhere. They're comfortable. They're in there. They know that.
It shouldn't be any different. It should not have had any impact for the first weekend.
Right.
And it has less impact each weekend they survive because they're not traveling anymore.
Right. Okay.
They've got elite weight rooms. They have much better food.
Right.
and now, more than half of them are gone anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? I can just like that quick, all that planning, everything that you got to make happen, and then it's just gone. So we thought Gonzaga would be the first 1 seed to exit, and they weren't.
Yeah. No.
Illinois had to.
I'm keeping my Sweet 16. They'll be gone. They won't get past Sweet 16.
I had such a good first day of the tournament. I mean, I only missed one game the first day.
One
game. I was so impressed with myself. Then the second day came.
It was a wrap.
And I didn't care. And it's like that any year.
Yeah.
Other than Kentucky's fortunes. Yeah. The rest of it, I don't care what happens with the bracket. Give me the underdogs.
Right. That's what it's about.
Now, our good friend Carrie from Girls Beer Sports, she doesn't want to call Loyola a Cinderella, and I would disagree with her because I
agree.
No, I would disagree because yes, they had a good run a couple of years ago. Where have they been in the meantime? Was there, I mean, it's not like you hear about them, and it took Gonzaga a number of years of being consistently getting in the tournament and making it past the Sweet 16 before they finally shed the Cinderella thing. Now they're expected to win. Loyola hasn't had that many opportunities. And what's their seed this year?
8.
A case could be made. They could have an acrylic slipper, maybe not glass, but give them acrylic.
Right.
Because, like I said, they're not a perennial powerhouse. They're not one that has. When was their national championship?
I mean, yeah.
And if you knock off teams that have had national titles this century, you got a little bit of that fairy tale magic.
I mean, I can see some points there, and I can see it.
I would say there's a lot of 8 seeds that wouldn't qualify, but that's when I said
I feel like
an 8 or 9 seed, you kind of got to give them. You got to at least give them a little airtime on an argument because
I'm like you said, a different slipper. Well, it has to be the Cinderella slipper, and that slipper has to fit. In order to do that, I think you have to be a double-digit seed. Loyola Chicago is just. They're playing great. They're a good team. They've been a good team all year. We just don't hear about them because they're Loyola Chicago.
But Gonzaga, you didn't hear about them for years.
Nah.
And they were just over there winning their games, and you didn't hear about it. I mean, but you didn't hear about them until
once again, because what conference are they in?
No, but would you let me finish a freaking sentence because it doesn't make you right to interrupt. You heard about them after they consistently made Sweet 16s. After they made 3 or 4 in a 5-year period, they're legit. Loyola has not done that yet.
I mean,
2 years from now, we can have a different conversation. But if you want to talk about a team that's truly in the fitting all the criteria for Cinderella, and this is a team I got to see in person in Jacksonville when Kentucky destroyed them by 38 points. Abilene Christian. I believe they're maybe Buffalo. Are they Buffaloes? Buffaloes.
Wildcats.
Oh, they're Wildcats. That's right. They were Wildcats too. Somewhere along the way, there was a Buffalo team.
Yeah. Yeah. But the Abilene Christian.
And that was their first year as Division I, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Sure
when
was.
Kentucky played them.
Yeah, sure was. I know some people that went to Abilene Christian. Weird. And yeah. But yeah, that was we.
Their first win, when you get a first round, like, oh yeah, they took out one of the big guns. When they follow it up with another one,
yeah,
then you're like,
right,
what are you doing?
Right.
And that's that. You cannot tell me they are not Cinderella.
Right. I mean, I feel like the whole Cinderella conversation. I saw you're in Carrie's conversation on Twitter. I feel like there needs to be something written up about this because there's so much that you can take in and take from what makes a Cinderella. I mean, I think it has to be a double-digit seed. I don't think Loyola Chicago is a Cinderella. They've been playing good all year. We know who they are. I mean,
you know who they are because of a nun.
Right. And they've been in the tournament. They've been to the Final Four. I mean, they've done that. I mean, the last few years, they've been showing up and been showing out. So I can't hear you. You muted yourself somehow. You muted yourself. There you go.
I know, but I clicked that 18 times and it wouldn't undo it. I wasn't even on that screen.
But anyway, yeah. So that's why I feel like there's a lot to take in. Huh?
So you were saying they've done it last years. Nobody did it last year.
No,
nobody.
But I'm saying in the last few years, we've seen and heard the name, associated with Sister Jean, of course, like you mentioned, but Loyola Chicago.
One time.
But I'm just saying, they're an 8 seed. They're an 8 seed because they're good.
They're an 8 seed because
I feel like it also
a lot of people suck this year.
True. I feel like 8 seeds won the tournament. I feel like it has to be a seed that hasn't won ever.
Well, that's ridiculous.
I don't know. I mean,
that's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous.
What does it take to make a Cinderella, though? A true Cinderella?
Well, not somebody else's seed. My gosh.
I mean,
somebody that was a 12 one year and they mangled through and happened to win it. Then you're going to say another team that does the same can't be a Cinderella? That's hogwash. That's absolutely ridiculous.
I'm just throwing stuff out there.
Okay, well, you throw that one in the garbage because that was stupid. I mean, that one was stupid.
All right, I'm just saying, what does it take?
That was sincerely stupid.
What does it take to make a true Cinderella, though? That's
not that.
Okay, we understand. What does it take?
We've already said double-digit seed. I think, like I said, there can be. I think you have to give the 8s and 9s on a case-by-case basis.
Right.
Somebody could have just out of the blue had a season that ended up on an 8 or 9 because that's just how things work, and we've never heard of them. What if Oral Roberts come flying in on an 8 or 9?
Yeah,
you'd have a different opinion right now, wouldn't you? Yes, you would. Yes, you would, because at Oral Roberts, have they made a Final Four?
I don't know.
There you go. Because you don't hear about Oral Roberts every year.
I still say we just, it has to be a high seed that has never won it, and then until you get to the 16. until you get to the 16, and then only a 16 can be a Cinderella to win it, and then you just will be done with it, and we'll be it'll be over, no more, because it has been a argument for a long time, like, oh well, that wasn't an upset, or this was.
Well, so the NCAA gave a definition of an upset,
and they did.
I don't like it. I don't care if you like it or not. You say you're just like, well, we need multi-year players. We have them. Well, we need one and dones.
Right. So is that just for the tournament? Or is that how they actually look at?
Well, you're not seeded in the season.
I mean,
you're not seeded in the season. It's
you're ranked.
But that's different.
I mean, you're still ranked when you get seeded. It's like,
but that's not.
Loyola Chicago was ranked 30. That makes them an 8 seed. No. Yes.
Just no.
Okay. No. Just no. I'm just saying.
No.
I mean,
he said for their tournament, and because he's the tournament and stat.
Right. And that, well, I'll say, I to see where I was thinking. That's why I didn't like it, because I was like, yeah, it's for the tournament, but is that how they really look at it? Like, it just, if a number 6 through the year beats a 1, then
because you've got all those other ranking systems
right.
already in place. You've already got net, you've got KenPom, you got the RP. You have so many other metrics that's not it. But if you're going to say there's an upset, then you've got to be at least 6 seeds or 5 seeds lower.
Right.
And maybe that's so pressure. Can't say this is an upset if a 2 beats a 1.
Right.
Not an upset. Of course, you don't see that till Final Four anyway. I do think there is a genuine that this would have been the perfect year, if ever there was, that once you get down to the Sweet 16 to reseed everybody. I always thought, man, reseed them at the 16, because that way you've got a greater chance of getting the best games in the Final Four. Sometimes you get one bracket that's just so busted, and they almost always fall on the same side as the other busted bracket.
Right.
And then the 2 that go almost chalk end up, so your semifinal game becomes almost more compelling than the final. You get where I'm.
Yeah.
Like the year that we had to play UMass. Yeah, the number 1, number 2 team in the country playing in the semifinal, because that's how the brackets fell.
Right.
And the Syracuse game, Syracuse game the following Monday was like, we still had to perform, but it was not, the quality of basketball was not the same. I would have loved the UMass. The UMass UK game absolutely deserved to be the national championship game. So if you don't want to have a Cinderella discussion, then at least get on board with the idea of reseed at the Sweet 16. Can you give me a reason why you wouldn't want to do that?
No, I mean, I like that. I'm down with that. I think I've heard you talk about that before, and I'm like, it makes all the sense. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, like,
of course, I would also like them to go back from that whole geography thing for where you're going to put the teams, which is like, they didn't have to do it this year. We're all going to the same state.
Right.
So, big deal, but that's ludicrous that geography plays a part. This isn't horse and buggy days.
I feel like the upset of Cinderellas are by names. It's like I feel like they even like Loyola Chicago, they're 8 seed, but it's still Loyola Chicago. Oral Roberts, which is a big time upset, but still it's all the crazy names that you don't hear throughout the year. And I feel like they're automatically all.
But it wasn't that long ago that we thought Gonzaga was a crazy sounding.
But it's
I can
been some
remember that.
years. That's
But
been some years
they
for me.
had to consistently perform. I don't know how many times. I guess I've got to say it slower and louder
I
for the
remember it.
people in the back that don't grasp what I'm saying.
I do remember when you heard Gonzaga. What Gonzaga? What? I remember those days, but
I'm pretty sure it's
like
Gonzaga, not Zog.
No, I'm
They're
saying,
Zags.
yeah,
Well, I know, but you were calling them Gonzaga. Gonzaga.
Well, at one point, we didn't know what to call that. That was the whole point, because at one point we were like, "Who?"
Well, that's my whole point. So when you're sitting here talking about Oral Robert, all these weird names, Oral Roberts, Abilene Christian.
Yeah.
There's a reason you haven't heard their names. They've historically stunk.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. But now that we have blistered through everything we had to blister through, and we didn't get as detailed in the debate because we got sidetracked for several other prongs of the debate.
Yeah.
But we're 65 minutes in.
Yeah. So we're gonna go.
Because I'm going to try to fix my door handle today.
Yeah, and I got a doctor's appointment.
Figure this one. So, okay, hey, you work at Toyota, therefore you should know everything there is to know about cars. I say that very facetiously because growing up, my parents owned, a landscape and gardening.
Right.
So I should know everything about flowers. Yes, I can kill any flower in under a week. I was the black thumb of the family. But anyway, so my passenger door. You open it, you close it. You open it, you close it. One day, this is about 6 weeks ago, and I say this because, when you live by yourself and you drive by yourself most of the time, it doesn't matter. But now it's becoming an issue. I had been somewhere, I don't know what store, come back out, go to open my passenger door because I've got a large bag. It's easier to set it in the passenger seat from that way than to pull it in the driver's seat and get over it. I have a compact car. I don't have a lot of room to do that. Now, mind you, before I had left the house that day, I'd had something else in the passenger seat. I went out, unlocked the door, opened the door, got whatever it was out, took it into the apartment, come back, go shopping, lock the door when I go into the store, come back out, use my key to unlock the doors, walk around to the passenger side, door doesn't open. I thought, I heard 2 clicks. First click where it opens the driver's door, second click it opens the other doors. That's okay. I've still got my keys in my hand. Click, click, click. Back door opens, it's unlocked. Front door won't unlock. So I get back in the car. I was like, just put this in the back seat. Since I got the back door open, I'll put my package back here, no problem. I get in the car, so I'll just manually, because sometimes it might not go all the way, and oh no, it won't unlock with the button inside. It will not unlock with the fob. It will not unlock if you put the key into the door. How do I fix this?
I'd start with the most simplest thing, a fuse. Maybe.
A fuse would have no impact over a key in the door, over your manual way to unlock your door.
I don't know. I mean, maybe if it's, it's automatic, right? Electric.
But you have manual locks. So in case...
I don't know. I mean, it could be something with that.
Well, no, because when your battery is down on your key fob and you can't access that, when you put your key in the door and unlock it the old-fashioned way, it doesn't unlock all the doors like your fob would. It only unlocks the door for which you have the key in there.
Right.
So that's like the manual override. There's no electronics involved in unlocking your door to open it and let yourself out.
Okay. Well, you got 2 people that you can talk to about this.
And you're not one of them.
No, either a mechanic or a criminal. And I'm neither. So there you go. I have no idea about that. And for 2, I don't work on the door line, so I don't know about the doors. Yeah, that is crazy and mysterious.
Are you back at work yet?
No.
Well, I didn't know. Thought maybe let you sit on a stool.
No.
And look at things.
No.
They let you sit on a stool and look at things before, but anyhow.
Yeah, they did.
We got to go. We got doing things. There's more basketball today.
Yeah.
More volleyball later this week. More softball. More baseball. Yeah. More UK dominating everything but basketball. Who thought you'd ever hear that? And maybe next week we can report some on the spring practices with the football team.
Yep.
New running backs coach. All kinds of things there because Jay doesn't like to talk about football.
Yeah, it's getting close. Getting close.
Well, see, but Jay's really not in charge of the world like he thinks he is.
No, I don't think so.
But now, yeah, you do. And we have that discussion too, because you tell me things are going to happen instead of asking me my opinion first. But that's okay. No. It's spring. There's a vaccine. Little by little, things are easing up, and doesn't mean you don't stop wearing your mask. You don't stop washing your hands. You filthy, nasty people. That's how we got in this mess in the first place. Clean up your acts. Get out there and rest assured that wherever we go and whatever we do,
we're always rocking Kentucky Blue.
Thanks for listening to the Rockin' Kentucky Blue podcast. You can find us on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Spotify, Radio Public, or wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure to stop by and leave us a rating and review. And tune in next time for another episode of Rockin' Kentucky Blue.